Oh my god, alright. Hey everybody, Josh and Grant here for Peelin, Drag podcast number 2. For this podcast, we're going to go over a few anchors, different anchor styles we like to use in the tidal rivers here in Virginia, especially focusing on the James. I know a lot of you guys are coming up to fish the Shad Run in March and April, so really want to lend you our knowledge since we fish it pretty regularly. That way you're not losing all your expensive anchors and hanging up your claw anchors and going home having a bad day because you wasted $20-25. So basically, Grant's going to start us off here by showing you a few different anchor styles on his end, what to use, what not to use, and then I'll go on and do the same thing, but we'll let him start off here.
So the first one, like Josh touched on, the losing your claw anchors. A lot of you are probably fishing with one of these. These are just the standard ones that most kayak places, honestly, a lot of them give them to you. When you buy a kayak, most of the time, they usually come in a little bag or a kit. They come with your rope and all that stuff. We've all used them. They're kind of expensive if you were to buy them yourself, but, you know, they're just the standard. They open up and all that stuff. They're kind of cool, but they're really only good if you're fishing somewhere that's got mud or sand bottom, like a man-made reservoir or something like that. But if you're fishing in the rivers around here, that thing's going to open up. It's going to wedge in between rocks, wrap around a tree or something. And being in a kayak, when you try and pull on it, you're not going to get any torque on it. They recommend you rig it up, you know, zip tied to the top ring and down. It doesn't matter. Yeah. When that thing gets wedged, you're not getting it out.
That rarely works the way it's supposed to.
No. So one solution to this, a brick. Probably works a lot better. Just run a rope through there. Most of these are free, and yeah, you don't have to worry about spending $20 on a kit anchor because they always come with all that crap. That's why they charge you so much.
Right.
Another option that I've used on my kayak, on my Pro Angler, that really works well is just a standard, I think this is a 5-pound mushroom anchor. They use them a lot as like a rear anchor for boats just to keep it from spinning. Pretty basic. They're good for kind of the same thing as that anchor, sand and mud. They hold in rocks fairly well just because there's not a whole lot of sharp edges to them. That's the key. If you want to hold in rocks, don't have any corners. This anchor, the way they're designed to sit on the bottom, and when they land, you kind of give them a tug to pull them over. That buries it into the mud and it holds. But same thing, these usually aren't cheap. They're usually, what, $15-20?
Yeah, so about as much as a claw anchor.
You got a lot better chance of not losing this one, but still $15 or $20. So that's kind of my don'ts for a kayak. Now Josh will show you his don'ts, and then we'll get to the do's.
Well, I don't really have any don'ts. The claw anchor's your main don't. Main thing about a claw anchor, if you're sitting at home saying, "Oh, I haven't hung one up yet," you're going to. It's just a matter of time. And you know they're great for the beach. They're great for the bay. You know, your brackish and salt water, but really around here, if you use one of those claw anchors or your grappling hook style, you're going to lose it.
They're kind of good for mooring to a bridge, too. I've done that a couple times with that, just because you can kind of throw it around the pilot and hook it, right. But other than that.
But the main thing is, once you get an anchor hung up, you're going to want to be able to just break it off. If you fight it too much, especially in March and stuff, you don't want to be flipping into the river. It's a bad time. We have at least 1 or 2 guys a year roll a kayak here during the Shad Run. It's a really bad thing to do this time of year, especially with the water.
Water temperature being only about 50 degrees.
Yeah, the main thing is wear your PFD at all times. And we're trying to just prevent guys from rolling because it kind of makes us all look bad. So just stay away from the claw anchors when you come up here. Just word of caution. But the route I like to go with the cheap stuff. That way, if I lose it, I don't feel bad. My main anchor of choice is just a 5 to 10 pound plate weight. 5 pounds when the river's lower and I don't have much current going. Obviously 10 pounds when it's heavier. I hate losing the plate weights because they're not always easy to come by, the older used ones like this. But, you know, it doesn't hurt as much as losing an expensive anchor. Your other alternative is one of these.
Also not easy to come by.
Yeah, brake rotors.
If you don't mind taking apart your vehicle to go fishing,
well,
great.
you know, everybody's got to get the rotors replaced sometimes. You have 4 of them when you get your rotors replaced. This is the front section. This is the only one I can find at the moment because my other one is MIA at the moment. But generally, I use the rear drum rotor. It works a little bit better. It's got that big cup to it, obviously, so it gets down in the James and it kind of digs into that mud. Holds you a whole lot better. But this one is about 18 pounds. It's a little on the heavy side. The rear drum, it is bigger, but it doesn't weigh as much.
More hollow. It's probably closer to 10.
Yeah, there's not as much components with it as it is on your front rotors. But basically, I either stick with a plate weight or a rotor. I don't even own a claw anchor or a mushroom. I just don't mess with it. It's not my thing. I go the cheaper route. I fish the James so much, you usually lose one per season here. But, you know, really, the key thing is going the cheaper route. That way you don't sit there and fight it because you know you got $25, $20 sitting at the end of your line. But anyway, Grant's got another anchor here, and I think I might be switching to one of these here coming up. It works really well.
Anyway. A lot of y'all probably haven't seen one of these, or you probably haven't seen very many kayaks rigged with one. This is what's called a window weight. A lot of the older windows and the old wooden windows from 50s and honestly probably back into the 40s and stuff, they had the weights in the wall to help you lift the windows. You can find these at pretty much any antique shop. They're usually like $5 or $10. If that, a lot of them give them away to you just because they have so many of them. But you see it's already got a hole up here. I took just your standard, I don't know, just a link connector and tied my rope to it. This is actually the one off of my kayak right now. But the good thing about these is when you drop them in the water, the first thing they're going to do is go straight up. So if you're in mud, this thing will bury itself all the way up to the link in the mud. So, I mean, no matter which way you're pulling, it'll come, you know, it'll hold you good. But I've only had one instance where I had trouble with it, and that was just, it got wrapped around a tree or something. But the good thing about this, it'll drop in between rocks, keep it from going any direction, and usually without any trouble whatsoever. You can put a couple tugs on it and it'll pop right loose.
All right.
I've only lost one of these, and that was because I was using the wrong rope at the time. That's the last thing we're really going to touch on is that rope. You know, your anchors are important, but if you don't have the right rope, it's kind of stupid anyway. This is 1/4 inch, what I think they call the docking rope. It's just your standard 3-strand nylon rope. And the good thing, I like using 1/4 inch just because you're not going to have any problems with it cutting or breaking. But when it gets wet, it's not that heavy either. And, you know, that's kind of the name of the game. You don't want a whole lot of real heavy rope and crap in your kayak. Right. And the other thing, the way I connect it to my anchor trolley is with a dog leash clip, because when I was fishing out of my tarpon, I did have one instance where I rolled, and it was from being anchored, and I always said if I had a way to get that anchor off quicker, I wouldn't have rolled just because it caught and just rolled me really quick. So I connect all my anchors to my anchor trolley with a dog leash clip now, just so if it does get bad, I'm in heavy current, I can just pop it and let it go. It's an anchor. It's better than dying. Right.
But anyway, mine's about the same. Mine is a nylon core, but it's got more of a cottony, softer fiber on the outside. I just got it at Bass Pro because it was the cheapest. This is just regular nylon. I know a lot of the anchors you get come with that small like paracord stuff.
I think we got some right here. This stuff.
Yeah.
It works. Problem is, it stretches. This stuff is great for making anchor trolleys out of and other rigging on your kayak, but I wouldn't use it for an anchor rope. First of all, it's only about 1/8 of an inch wide, and it's cotton core, so as soon as it gets cut, it's going to tear.
Yeah, the March and April, the rivers around here get pretty swelled. You get up to maybe 8 foot in the James, 7 to 8 foot, kind of holds around there. Makes for a lot of pretty heavy current in some stretches, so your thinner rope like that or your thinner cordage isn't going to hold you very well. It's either going to break it or it's going to stretch to the point where after a couple times using it, it'll be dry rotted and it'll just snap and you're going to lose your stuff anyway. So it works, good for salt stuff where there's not a lot of current, your lakes and stuff. But around here, I just go get a cheap nylon rope. It's durable, inexpensive. Basically, like we said before in our Silver Buddy video, you want to go inexpensive with those. We're doing the same here. Inexpensive with your anchors. Trying to prevent guys from rolling in the James. There's a tournament coming up for shad in the James. I know a lot of kayak anglers are going to come compete in that. Do not bring your claw anchor. Find a brick, find a piece of center block, anything. But,
those of you who do compete in the tournament, if you've seen this, you're going to laugh because somebody will lose their anchor at that tournament. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just not the way to go. Try to avoid those claws at all costs. Just bring anything but just about any cheap stuff.
Bring a brick. If you don't have anything else, just bring a brick.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Yeah, knock your foundation down a little bit. Take whatever's left. It's not.
Ain't gonna hurt nothing. It'll be alright.
But anyway, that's our video for now. We're trying to get on the water, but there's not a whole lot of that happening. Fishing really hadn't started here yet. The rivers are all flooded. We're gonna go for yellow perch. That's been delayed.
Again.
Yeah. We had the ice and the snow and the froze-over rivers. Now we got the swollen rivers from the relentless rain and ice melt we've been having. So hopefully, within the next week or so, we'll have some fishing videos.
Yeah, knock on wood. From the looks of it looks like we're out of that heavy snow for now. We might get a few more dustings for the year, but I think that heavy snow is probably gone.
Now we're moving into our early spring patterns of Virginia rain, so maybe we can dodge some of these up. Swellings of the river here and get some fish caught. But that's it for now. Stay tuned. We'll be building this site and building our brand as much as we can over the next couple weeks, hopefully to put out a good video here coming up. So appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions about where to get these anchors or anything else that we may not have touched base on, feel free to email us at
peelindragextremefishing@gmail.com or shoot us a comment on YouTube or tweet at us. We've got our Twitter.
Facebook, Twitter, the website, fishharderstayhome.com, Gmail, all that stuff. We'll respond to one of them.
You can get a hold of us.
Yeah.
We got avenues.
We're not hiding. Anyway, that'll do it. You guys have a good evening. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you on the water.
All right.